could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello everyone, today we're meeting Eli Halpern. He is a martial artist, stand-up comedian, also a CEO and founder of Golden Cricket. Hello Eli, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So let's start a conversation by diving into your journey of becoming the person you are today. What led you to discover your true passion in life? How did it start for you?
Well, I think I always enjoyed making people laugh. So I've been wanting to do stand-up comedy as long as I can remember. It kind of started as a way to just relate to other people. I found that I was more able to convey my thoughts and meanings if it had a joke behind it. And otherwise, I found it rather difficult. So I used to write jokes just to pull out in front of people at certain times. And which is it started off kind of disingenuous because it wasn't just a naturally flowing conversation. It was just me pulling out jokes I'd written. And that kind of just led to me being to create who I am around that.
Wow, yeah. So I think the way of talking in a funny manner, it's kind of like releases the pressure and it connects better in that way. I feel like it's always it's a better vibe when you're in that type of mood and people relax around you. Don't you think so?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're the person that can make everyone laugh, people want to be around you.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that you founded your own company, Golden Cricket. And it's, for those who don't know, it's nutritional and sustainable protein bar. And it's made out of crickets. And it's something new to the market. So I never heard about it. Can you just elaborate more? What inspired you in the first place to, start that company and why crickets?
Well, as a stand-up comedian, the worst thing you can have in the audience is crickets. So I was like, let's kill them all and make them into food. And then there's revenge in every bite. And also, crickets are extremely nutritious and sustainable. They're 65% protein by weight. They contain all 9 essential amino acids. They use 2,000 times less water to produce than whey protein. They're high in calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, potassium. And I mean, comedy doesn't pay very well. So I needed something else to pay the bills. And I don't want to work a full-time job. So I was just like, I'll just create this business and get investors and try to grow this and sell it. And it's kind of funny that all I'm trying to do is tell jokes, and I'm just like, oh, I'll just try to build a multi-million-dollar company in the background.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way for you to kind of invest in your own life in general, because a lot of people, stuck in 9 to 5 and they hate their jobs, they don't feel like this type of fulfillment. But for you to find what you really love doing and actually making, money out of it, it's very rare. And a lot of people, they don't follow their dreams. What would you advise them to kind of like start practicing on a daily basis in order for them to kind of become mindful of what really inspires them and how they can follow their passion?
Well, a lot of people don't really know what their passion is. So it really starts there. A lot of people agree you should follow your dreams, but more importantly, you should find your dream, because that's the hard part. I mean, if you know what you want to do, it's not that hard. If you know the destination, you can figure out a path to get there. But if you just get in your car and you say, I want to go somewhere, that's not helping you at all. But for me, it's never really been about following my dreams and like breaking away from the norm. I've just always had my blinders on, not really paid attention to what anyone thinks I'm supposed to do and just done what I want to do. And that's, I mean, a lot of people refer to that. A lot of people tell me I inspire them and stuff, which is nice. But really, I'm just trying to make my life worth living, because the contrary to following my passions and just doing a regular job working for someone else, I would rather die than do that, honestly.
Yeah, and like you just mentioned, for us to kind of know where we're going, we have to set our GPS in what direction we're going. If we're in the car and we're driving around, and we're lost, then no wonder you don't feel this type of fulfillment, or like you hate your job, because sometimes you just ask a person, why are you doing what you're doing? And the person doesn't know the answer to that question. They don't know why they're doing. They're like on autopilot, and just, one day maybe somebody advised them to look into that career. This is what they went to school for, and now they're working in that field. But is it really what you want to do in your life? Do you feel good doing that? And people kind of lost in what they want, and they're not clear on their desires and goals in life. And like you said, for you to kind of like break from that, you need to start paying attention to what you want personally, not looking in other people. Like, don't compare yourself to others, because nowadays we have, social media, a lot of distraction, and it just pulls away your focus. But you should really focus on yourself first. First, you have to understand who you are, what you want, and connect to yourself deeply to understand what drives you. How are you making those decisions on a daily basis? Because I always say, like, we need to invest in our own mental and physical health first, in order to give others and to have something to give in the end. Like, you're not being selfish by focusing on yourself, but rather, you should know that's a priority. And again, like, a lot of people have different opinions about how you should live your life, but it's your life in the end. Like, I mean, you could listen to it, but you have to decide for yourself. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to say that next, that the most important thing is health. That my advice to anyone trying to do anything is to start with a workout and diet plan, and get good sleep and drink a lot of water. And a lot of the times these days, it's more about removing the bad than adding the good. Like, if you talk to a lot of business owners, they would agree that it's more valuable to fire bad workers than it is to hire good workers. So it's not always about what you do. A lot of times it's about what you don't do, and just removing the negativity. And this dimension is really all about the body. Like, the mind is infinite. The mind permeates time and space, and has existed potentially even before time itself. So the mind will always be here, but the body is finite. The body is temporary. And that's why we're here inhabiting these avatars, to take care of these bodies. So that needs to be the number one priority. And then everything else will fall into place. Because once you have your body in order, and your hormones adjust, and your sleep is correct, and your cells are hydrated, then from that point, you have a solid foundation from which you can project the rest of your image of your future on.
Definitely. And also, we have to do it on a daily basis, and, check in with ourselves, how we're feeling, and what required for us to kind of get to that state where we are at utmost well-being, whatever that means for each one of us. Like, I know you are a martial artist, right? And a lot of times people get into some type of practices such as sport or meditation that is bringing them that mindful, state of being. And then they more kind of like they focusing on what exactly they doing and how they can change what they're doing in order to bring themselves to the better place. So what would be your advice to people to become more mindful of what kind of food they're eating, what kind of activities they engaged in? So what would help them to become more aware of what's going on in their life? I know martial art is one of the ways. Maybe there's something else that you practice that helps you and just like focuses in the right direction.
Well, yeah, martial arts has been paramount for my happiness and success, and it is probably one of maybe the most important factor that has kept me on the right path. And because everything else has to fall into place to support that. I can't drink, I can't stay up late, I have to eat well. And you asked how to, you basically said how to diet properly. There's a lot of discrepancy in the nutrition world, but I think something we can all agree on is you should eat things that are already on the ground, like not directly, but if they aren't in a package, well, I mean, you can package fruit, I guess. If the from square one to your table is not that big of a leap, it's I'm having a hard time explaining it because it's hard to even quantify it, because like I want to say eat natural things, but then you're like, is bread natural? I don't think bread's natural. I don't think pasta's natural. Rice is natural, but is bread and rice and pasta the same? I don't know. I think rice is better than bread and pasta. I personally try to only eat meat and fruit and sweet potatoes and some vegetables.
Yeah, a lot of times whole foods, whatever we cook in our home, we bring the actual vegetable home and start cooking, and we know exactly what the ingredients are. And once you start purchasing something in store, like if it's like in a can or it's packaged, you have to look at the supplement packed nutritional kind of like breakdown of what is inside, and to understand that this is something we put in our body. And our body, like you mentioned, in this dimensional reality that we're in, is our temple, right? We have to be mindful of what we're putting inside, because it could be a medicine or it could be a poison, right? And we sometimes don't realize that we could poison our body to the point where we feel so bad, and we don't even understand that we're the ones making that happen. Right.
Also, a lot of times the difference between a medicine and a poison is the dosage.
True. Yeah, definitely. And we have to know in what dosage we put that type of substance in our body, and what exactly the quality of that substance is and where it came from, right? So just being curious of what you eat, not just, just put in anything that comes to your hand, and not realizing that it could really damage you in the long term. But this is something like I feel like is important, because there's always body-mind connection, right? If you've noticed, like a lot of times what you eat reflects on how you feel afterwards. And especially like if you want to be more energized and having more focus, like you have to make sure that you eat the proper food in order to stay in that state. So I think the nutritional bars, they also a good snack, and it also a healthy way of kind of like have that type of nutrition that is very good for your body, right? And it also helps you to stay, to release that type of hunger for a long period of time without trying taking any junk food?
Yeah, my Cricket protein bars are, the ingredients are all natural. And like it's peanut butter, chocolate, banana, and we don't use, my dog is coming up here. We don't use like banana flavor. It's like actual banana powder.
Oh, wow, nice. Yeah.
And yeah, I will say that it would be healthier to just have a banana than a protein bar. But our protein bars you can leave in the hot car, you can leave in your backpack for a while. They last longer. So there's a convenience factor that needs to, you can't eat all natural all the time if you're most humans. My ability to be so healthy is because I've prepared myself financially enough to where I have enough free time to cook most of my own meals. And a lot of people don't have that luxury, but I'm able to spend pretty much the first 4 hours of my entire day dedicated entirely to my physical health.
Wow,
And
that's
another aspect of martial arts and a lot of types of exercise is my dog's trying to climb up here, is the self-inflicted adversity, which is putting yourself through pain and hardship and struggle on a physical basis. You hear a lot of people struggling with having self-sabotaging activities in terms of relationships or addictions, and everyone does things that hurt themselves. And it's important to do things that hurt yourself, but on a different level, to where it's on a physical level and it's aimed more towards improvement. Now, I do stand-up comedy and martial arts. Those are my two favorite things. And I am mostly in the past, my biggest fears have been getting beat up and being publicly humiliated, which is both of those things. So if you've never done stand-up comedy, I'm guessing you haven't, but when a joke bombs, it feels like 50 people ghosting you all at once. It hurts. It hurts your feelings. It's brutal. And when you get punched in the face and the liver and you have to drop to your knees, that hurts a lot too. Now, I'm doing that stuff so much on a daily basis that I'm prepared for anything the world has coming my way. Like someone's going to be mean to me, I'm ready for that. Someone wants to fight me, I'm ready for that. So I'm building up these layers of strength in every way, all while increasing my health, increasing my mentality, increasing my wit, because I have to think quickly to how to respond to any negative situations. And it's really, facing your fears is crucial, and not just facing them, embracing them, engraving that weaving that into your passions.
wow, yeah, definitely. And like with you facing your fears, you found the other side of it. I think like every, type of fear or event has like a silver lining to it. So if you just see the other side of it and how you can make it beneficial for you, it's very important, because like you said, you are ready now for any type of situation that comes your way because you prepared, right? And nothing will, put you in the ground, because you now have built that resilience and strength, and you're ready to respond in a proper manner. And again, like a lot of times people trying to avoid this type of situation or escape, with, either addiction or some other ways of doing that, because they feel like they cannot handle something that comes their way, and it could be a problem for them. But with them preparing for it in advance, knowing that nothing could really be of trouble for me, because now not only I went through it a few times, like a lot of times, and I know how it feels like, I know how it looks like, and nothing you can, bring to me that would really like stop me in any way, because I'm ready for anything. And that's a very important part, because a lot of times people don't understand that, it's just a feeling. Like sometimes when you face that situation, like you go through a certain emotion, and that is just a feeling that's going through your body. Sometimes it could trigger something, within you, that could be from the past experiences. I don't know, like childhood or some kind of trauma or relationship in the past that you experienced. And it just reminds you of something that you went through, right? But if you just let it go and just experience it in the moment, not escaping it, but rather embracing it will just go away. And the more time you do it, the less power it has over you, and the more you're in control, and you're gaining that power back, and now driver's seat of your life, and you're ready for anything that comes your way.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's not just as simple as keeping doing it. You have to improve. You have to get better. If I lose a fight and then I just keep fighting, I have to win the next one. I have to keep going until I get better. And sure, there's going to be ups and downs, but there has to be progress. You can't just keep losing, or that's going to feel pretty shitty. Maybe that's just me, but I don't think so.
No, definitely. And also, like, sometimes people look at failure, that's something that, stops them in, either professional or personal life. But if you look at it in another way, in terms of like, it could be just something that redirects you, right? And
Well, what's interesting about failure is that the definition of failure is not accomplishing a task. So if you went to the grocery store and you had eggs on your list and you forgot to get eggs, you are literally, by definition, a failure for not accomplishing the goal to get eggs. Now, I'm not one of those people that says, oh, it's not failure if you keep trying. It is failure. If you try to win and you don't, that is a failure. What I'm saying is failure is not that big of a deal. If you forgot to get eggs at the grocery store, it's not that big of a deal. Just go back later and get eggs.
definitely. And also, it's just part of the process, right? Sometimes you need to fail a few times to win, right? It is something you go through, and you shouldn't look at it as a reason for you to stop or give up. So it's not that, and it's not something bad. Sometimes we label things as being good or bad for us, but if we just look at it as it is, not trying to define it, but rather see it as in like a sign or indication for us to maybe look at something else or explore some other opportunity. Just that, and we don't need to be harsh on ourselves. Sometimes we beat ourselves up to the point like, we talk to ourselves so negative a lot of times, more than we talk to another person. So we never allow ourselves to talk to another person the same way we talk to ourselves. We have to always watch what we're saying, because it has power. How I'm treating myself is important. I have to make sure I give myself that love and compassion, because then it reflects back to the other people I'm interacting with. What are your opinion on that?
Yeah, you definitely have to control your self-talk. That is the most important thing, because a lot of people these days, if you hear how they speak, if you heard how they speak to themselves in their minds, if they spoke that way to one of their friends, they wouldn't have any friends. So it's important to speak to yourself as if you're your best friend, because you are, because there's multiple yous. You're not just you, you're also you and you and you. And you know that if you think about any time you've had a negative thought and you're like, that's not me, that's me saying that, which doesn't make sense because in the English language, but you know what I mean. And you have to speak to yourself positively. There's actually been experiments on this where if you have 2 glasses of water and you say to one water, I love you, water, you're beautiful, water. And then you say to the other water, fuck you, water, you piece of shit, water. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, but if you are nice to one water on a microscopic level, it arranges itself in a geometric pattern and the other one looks ugly. And you can do the same kind of thing with water with rice in it. And the one that you're mean to will get moldy, and the one that you're nice to will turn into like sake. And that's the power of words. I could go into how words are actually magic and they create reality. But if your voice is doing that to a cup of water, imagine what it's doing to the water in your body. You're mostly comprised of water. And yeah, like your cells are conscious. So on the smallest level, you're made up of billions of little consciousnesses. So all these voices in your head that you hear, they're all legitimate and they're all valid, but only if you give them power. And you have the strength to choose which voices in your head to listen to and which to strengthen and which to feed. And that also comes with living the truth that you want to create. So you can't just be completely delusional and be like, I'm awesome, I'm the best. You have to be like, I'm awesome, I'm the best, and then go do the things that make you awesome. And then you're bound to improve. And and every time you fail, you have to be like, this is part of the process. I get to the point now where I enjoy failure. I forget a lot still, but there'll get to a point where I feel so bad about a failure, and I'll just be like, oh, this is where I need to be. I need to be reminded. I need to be humbled. I just look for the positives and everything. And even if I was wrong and it turns out that I never succeed at the thing I'm trying to, I'm still in the moment convinced that I'm on the right path, which is the important part. It's all about convincing yourself that you're doing the right thing and that it's all worth it. And as far as being hard on yourself, you should be hard on yourself because no one else is going to be hard on you. So if you just want to be like, oh, you know what? I did my best and you didn't do your best, then you're holding yourself back. And I'm not saying be hard on yourself by talking bad to yourself and saying like, I suck, I'm worthless. Don't talk negatively to yourself, but be hard on yourself and be like, that wasn't good enough. That's not going to cut it. You need to do better. You need to work harder. You need to stop doing these negative things. So I have a lot of people that tell me I'm too hard on myself. And none of them are more successful than me, the ones that say that. So if you really pay attention to people that are telling you, oh, it's okay to take a rest, it's okay to take breaks, it's like, look at their lives, first of all. Yeah. I don't have any billionaires saying that stuff to me. And it's normal to be like, oh, it's okay to take breaks and you need your rest. And that's a normal average thing to tell people. I personally don't consider myself normal or average. I have proven myself exceptional in certain fields, and I'm not that great, but I am definitely not normal. My life path is not standard. It's not average. So I don't go by those standards.
Yes, and I agree that you have to show yourself tough love, right? So when you are saying that I could improve, I could get better, you have to first know that you are capable of achieving those things. You have to really believe in that, because if you don't believe that you worthy or deserving of having those things or achieving certain goals in life, in your own life, then you won't be able to move forward, because all you need is internal motivation. Nobody else could motivate you enough to do certain things in life, because it all comes down to your own discipline, like how you are gonna make it happen. It is possible, but you have to set those goals for yourself and knowing the steps that it requires of you to be consistent, to be focused, and to move forward, knowing that, if I face some type of failure, it's not a big deal. I'm gonna go, and do it again and do it again. And eventually I'm gonna get where I'm going. But you have to show that you are dedicated and it's important for you, and you have to believe in your own abilities and skills, and knowing that you have something unique, like you have your own gifts to share with the world, with others, to be of service of others. But first you have to bring yourself to the place where you can be of service, right? So build yourself first, and it requires, of course, time, and you have to put a lot of effort into doing that. But it shouldn't be like something that, you know, you feel like you don't want to do. You have to have that kind of desire, that passion inside of you that drives you in order to get there, right? So, because again, there are a lot of times like something happens in our life that we're not in control of, and there's nothing you can do. But what you're in control of, how you talk to yourself, what you do, and the intention behind your action every single day. You have a choice, and what you choose to do is up to you, right? And knowing that it will take time, nothing is overnight success. But if you know that, you know, it's just a matter of time, but if I'm staying on this path, it's just inevitable for me to get there. Don't you think so?
Yeah, you covered a lot. So I operate from less of a long-term goals and more of a daily basis. My goals are very short-term, to where I have a set list of things I want to accomplish every day. And I just wake up every day and redo those same things. And those build on each other. And those pave the way to get to the goals that I want to go to. But I don't focus on the goals on a daily basis. I'm not thinking like, how can I get to the private jet or whatever? I'm thinking, how can I be the best version of myself today? And every night, if I go to sleep feeling good about who I was that day, that's a win. And I take it one day at a time. The downside to that, though, is if I have a bad day, everything's ruined. But then I just got to get back at it the next day. And I've noticed that this has taken an interesting toll on my psyche, as to where I live so in the moment that I forget like large parts of my life because I'm just focused on today. And like pretty much every time I'll go out with friends and they'll remind me of like a story or like some funny thing that happened together, I've forgotten about it, and they remind me, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. And then it brings back this rush of like, oh yeah, I've lived all these amazing different lives. I don't know. It's a very weird experience. But you also touched on something about you have to essentially you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to fill your cup first before you can help other people. And you have a responsibility to help those around you, because you can't think of yourself as an individual. It's not all about me and what I can accomplish. I mean, yes, that is a thing and that is important. But what's more important is that I am a node in a network of individuals, and I do not operate outside of paying my bills on an individual basis. I try to be an integral part of this system of people, because we're not, if you zoom out on humans or birds or any group of animals, you zoom out and it just looks like one blob. And that's what we are. We're one blob. We're one connected consciousness, and we all have to support and help each other. And that can get dicey, because what does helping each other really mean? Does it mean going around giving money to homeless people? No, I don't like that. I don't want to feed their addiction to living. I'm just kidding. But
Yeah.
I don't believe in helping strangers, because I don't know them. They might not be good people. I don't want to help all the people. I want to help good people, and the people I know are good people. So I just try to be a good friend to those close to me. And I am loyal and honest, and I hold people accountable. And anytime something comes up where a friend has a business idea or wants to get in shape or is thinking about writing jokes or doing music, I also do music. Like I'm always quick to offer any knowledge I have. And I would like to get to a point where I have enough money to where I can help people financially, but sometimes just being you is enough help.
Yes, and I agree. The type of help that we're providing to others, it's not always financial, and it's just sometimes means like if a person wants to talk to you and you invest that time into, you know, interacting with that individual, it could be something of a lifesaver or something that changes their life in certain direction, and you never know, but maybe they needed to hear something that you help them to understand. Because it's not about like giving advice to people, but sometimes just holding this space and being non-judgmental and to listen to somebody, because listening is also a skill, and it's active, it's not passive, and if you are able to provide that to the friends or those who you care about, that's very important for them. And you don't realize that that conversation could really like impact them in a very profound way. So being kind of aware of your role in the society, like you mentioned, we are part of that network, and there is a purpose bigger than just on personal level. It's being playing that role in that network, whatever that means. And again, it has to be something of your own desire, of your own passion and joy. Like you have to enjoy the process, not just giving up everything just to please somebody. It's not about that. It's about doing what you love, but also providing that service to others in a way, right? So it could be something that, it's not really conventional way, but
Even just a
people
compliment,
find out. Hmm?
even just a compliment, just
Yeah.
telling people you like their shirt, or they're good at this, or their hair looks good. Just make people feel good.
Yes, just as simple as that. And also like being that type of person that doesn't hold anything back, and just like generous like as your attitude towards life, towards people, and not expecting anything in return. It's just like given. And if you are being that way, it's kind of like you're gonna get it back multiplied from, it could be from another sources that's coming to you, but the more you give, the more you receive. So it's kind of like a cycle or a flow of energy that's happening, right?
And
If we
even
are
if that's not the
by
case,
universe, huh?
and even if that's not the case, a lot
Yeah.
of people can complain about how they give more energy than they get, and they're like, I'm the one always helping others, and people don't help me back. I hear that complaint a lot, and to that I say, good, that means you're better than them. Cool. Keep going. You don't expect anything back. You're making the world a better place. You're proving that you're a nicer person than everyone. Well, not that being nice is the goal, but just being a positive
Right.
force,
If
that
you're
that
just
that
being
ripple, it has rippling effects. Even if it doesn't come back to you, it's going to ripple out.
Yes,
It'll
and
come back
if it
eventually.
doesn't come back to you from that person, you're still gonna receive that kind of energy from another place. So something will support you along the way, right? So if you just being true to who you are, and honoring your own values as a good person and focusing on positive, you're just gonna win. It's just inevitable for you to win, and the way that you feel also important. And you also, like, I always notice the way we feel, it's kind of indication for us to know how far we are from being like in balance, right? If we experience some unpleasant feelings, it just means we're like off balance from what really is important. So we just need to know what that is, and like bring ourselves to balance, so we are feeling whole and complete, and we enjoy, because that is something everyone has to live by, like feeling that type of joy. And again, like everything happens, it's up and down, so it's like a roller coaster of life. But we need to know, like, it's our responsibility to bring ourselves back to that mindset where we know what we're doing, why we're doing, because the why behind things, it's what's important. It's not what you do. Like you mentioned, sometimes you don't want to do anything, and that's okay. But at least if you're doing something, you know why you're doing that. So I think we should always be aware of making that choice and decision for ourselves.
Yeah, and a lot of negative emotions come from the body because you haven't been taking good enough care of it. So when you're feeling anxious or sad or anytime negative emotions pop up, I'm like, either I didn't train enough, I didn't sleep enough, I didn't eat enough, I need more water. That's it. That's simple. I just make everything about the body. I don't try to figure out, well, maybe it's because this thing that happened from my childhood that impacted this situation and now I have this issue. No. Screw all that. I need more sleep. Because that overthinking, it just, I mean, that like therapeutics, I don't really agree with therapy. I've been in enough therapy to have that standpoint too. But all of that exploring the details of the analytics of the reasonings behind your emotion is so much more exhausting and less beneficial than just focusing on being physically healthy.
That's true. And also what happened in the past should stay in the past. Like you don't have to relive it all the time. Like you should focus on the present moment. And that's where your power is, here, right now. And you have to make sure you are present, because a lot of times we're not present. Even with our bodies being here in this time and space, I could be not present with you, but if I choose to, I will be. So it's a choice also, and also a practice to make sure you are at your best every single moment when you're interacting with other people, when you're doing whatever you do in your daily life. You are giving your best. It could be not the best that you can be, but the best right now, and you can improve, and that's okay. But with understanding that right now this is what I'm focusing on. And again, like taking one step at a time, not overwhelming yourself with the bigger goals, but rather take it little by little, knowing which direction you're going, not just running around in a car with no GPS, but at least you know what is that you're trying to achieve in the end. And taking it little by little, because we're all going through life, and we understand what that means. We could feel stress, anxiety, depression, but it's up to us to find a way to process those emotions. Like you said, you know what works for you. You know that it could be about the body, and you know how to return back to that normal balanced state where you feel much better. And then if you know that, you know what steps to take. Like you don't need to wait for somebody. You can just take charge of it and just do it.
Yeah. And I think focusing on the body is super important. And because whether you believe in reincarnation or whatever, I believe in reincarnation, but I don't think you get reincarnated into the same body. I don't think anyone believes that. So you got one shot at this body, and it's the best. It's in your best effort to just make it the best body possible. And that,
Yes.
I guess I said that earlier.
I'm so glad that we had that conversation today. Thank you so much for your thoughts and wisdom. And for those who would like to connect with you, how can they find you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Cricket Lord MMA, and buy my cricket bars and cricket protein powder that's horchata flavored at goldencricket.com.
Great. And I'm also gonna put in the show notes as well. And as we close, what would you say to our listeners as a thought for today?
If you have any time to feel negative emotions, you need to physically exhaust yourself. Also, one thing I've noticed is that I've had a lot of bad things happen where I've lost everything, and I've been arrested, and I've lost people. People have died suddenly. And some of the hardest moments I've gone through, more so than all of those tragedies, is the hypothetical, terrible things I imagine when I'm not doing anything. I think that's harder to deal with than life tragedies. So I don't think I'm that different than most people, but I might be. But if you have time to make yourself miserable due to hypothetical imagination, then you got to do something. You should physically exhaust yourself through exercise.
Yes, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was a great conversation. Thanks so much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned.